What's up, y'all? Welcome to Two Brothers and a Shot of Milk. Chris is out with his family, but we're gonna hold it down. I'm Lawrence. We got Jack. We got Rich, and today we're talking about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning,
Part one.
Part One. Don't and they marketed it Part One, so I don't want to hear anybody get mad that this movie did not end with a cliffhanger. Really, it kind of ended fine. Spoiler alert.
Definitely had a cliffhanger. What are you talking about?
Not like Spider-Man did. Y'all was pissed off. Like
Yeah.
you didn't even get a final fight in Spider-Man. Oh man, but let me read this synopsis from IMDb, and then we'll do our spoiler-free deep dive, and then we'll jump in. Not deep dive. You know what I'm saying? Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls in the wrong hands. This synopsis can work for all the Mission Impossible movies, just about.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Was that it?
This is a longer one, but I think that's the point.
Great.
I do hear an echo on my end. If y'all hear it, I'm sorry. Bear with us. So listen, I got to do one thing. I got to give a slow clap for Mr. Tom Cruise because he's been killing it in this franchise. I'm 41 years old. Jack, you're 41. Rich, you're 42. He's been killing it in this franchise since I was 14. Jack was 14 and you were 15, Rich. That's when Mission Impossible 1 came out, when we were like 14 and 15 years old. And he's only up the ante with stunts.
Yeah.
Like in the first one, he was on a CGI train. On this one, he's on a train.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
he's doing it.
happening? I thought this movie was pretty great. I thought the plot was almost kind of a copy and paste from the other ones, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
And I felt as though Mission Impossible movies kind of land in two directions for me. Some are, we got to stop this thing because it's bad, and others are more of a personal story. This one I felt like tried to achieve a personal story, but similar to Indiana Jones, had to recreate a past we haven't seen. And I don't want to get in spoiler territory, but so the personal story of this felt rushed and forced for me, similar to Indiana Jones. That's all I'll say. But I did enjoy it. And spoiler alert: Tom Cruise and the director show up on screen. I guess similar to Top Gun Maverick. I haven't seen it, never will. But
I thought you were going to see it.
I gotta wait. I'll wait for a bet to lose.
Didn't you lose a bet?
No, Chris did not watch any real anime.
Yeah.
But him and the director come on the screen and just thanked everyone for coming to see the movie, and it felt great. And Jack, I remember you saying that you liked that when you saw Top Gun Maverick. Like it felt nice. Felt like you were at the theater. It felt like it made this experience more special. I enjoyed that. What did you guys think?
I thought it was it was pretty much copy and paste of stuff. I thought I might have to go back and watch the first one to find out this story that the villain. I wasn't sure if that
He
came
was
from
no.
the first one.
It's like Indiana Jones. It was created for this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said
right, well,
forced history.
Even without knowing that, I was just like, I felt like I was slightly lost on that because I was like, maybe I missed something on the first movie, or one of the other movies, because there've been so many and so long, you just don't remember them all.
You were 15 years old when the first one came out.
Yeah, but they're all the same. Because I was explaining to my girl, like, it was the same thing. Like the world, something's bad about to happen. He got to step in, and then he might need to go rogue.
He might need to go rogue.
He might need to go rogue. That's pretty much all of that Mission Impossible. It's just put in maybe a nuclear bomb here, like financial crisis going on here, or a war about to be. Just put something there, and that's pretty much
usually some MacGuffin they got to find that will initiate or unlock or ignite something.
Yeah. But other than that, I had a good time. I watched it. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great. It was a good time. It was a good watch.
Jackie boy.
Yeah, listen, I enjoy all of the Mission Impossible movies. All of them. This isn't my favorite of the Mission Impossible movies, but it's as good as...
Well, Jack, this is only part one, so it could get better.
Yeah, you can't judge it, Jack. It's only part one.
And well, I'll say this: it's the first time Mission Impossible has split their film up, which is hard for me because not to get into any spoiler territory, the film is unresolved. Duh. And so without part two, I'm sitting here with half of the story going. I actually would have probably been fine watching a 6-hour movie or waiting to watch this until the other half dropped. That's how I like to consume content. I hate just waiting in the middle of a thing. Of course, now you got writer's strike and actor strike going on, so we may
This
not even
movie,
get the second half of this.
dog, who knows when
Mm.
we're actually gonna get this movie?
Which is also why I don't like films. I feel like if a film like it worked for Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings set it up like everything's going to be this is going to be a trilogy. We're splitting it all up. We shot the whole thing, so continuity and it works. With Mission Impossible, normally you get a one-off storytelling thing, and this happens a lot in movies once they get to like their 10th or 12th or 6th installment. You saw it with Harry Potter. We're getting it with Fast and the Furious. Now Tom Cruise with the Mission Impossible splitting the film in half. Anyways, what's my point? My point is I enjoyed the film. I think I would have enjoyed it more if there was conclusion here, and there's not. Other than that, I'm definitely coming back. And listen, I support Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies. They're fun.
Just knowing how hard he works, and
Yeah.
like
Yo, man, and it's funny again, not spoiler because
we can get into spoilers. Spoiler alert! Go in.
Spoiler alert. Then everyone knows. They've been cramming this. Tom Cruise rides his bike off of the cliff thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm waiting for it. The setup to the moment. I think was a little labored because we knew it was going to happen. So the audience is ahead of the wave here,
Right.
Mm.
which I think hurt him having to do the jump because we were so expecting
Yeah.
it.
You feel like, yo, just to add to that, yeah, because I feel like nowadays they just take too much of the previews and they show too much of the movie.
Yes.
Even before the previews, even when they're just talking about the movie coming out, like they just show too much of the movie, so you kind of just feel like you're just watching all the previews and then filling in
And
the
he
gaps.
starts
Right.
showing you how he starts showing you the behind the scenes of this shot before you even see
Right.
the movie.
Right, which
Yeah.
normally you get after the movie comes out. But anyways, when he finally does jump off the cliff, and then we see him actually acting while he's in free fall, I just started laughing because I was like, "Oh, of course he's doing the scene also, and there's dialogue." His
Of
face
course.
is like, "Ah!" You're like,
Yeah.
"No, man, Tom Cruise is just off the chart. Sign me up." I am watching every Mission Impossible movie that ever comes out while Tom Cruise is still in it. It's just the way it is.
You kind of
Even
have
if it's
to.
geriatric Tom Cruise and he's 90 and he's going off the cliff in a wheelchair, I'm watching it.
That dude can run, though.
Yeah, he can.
No,
can
I will say
run.
this though: the running is
It's a thing.
it's a thing, but it's almost a comical thing now. When he ran in Mission Impossible 4 or 5, it was on the bridge.
Yeah.
When he was, oh my god, dude, that was thrilling. And he runs, he never saunters anywhere. It's
No.
like, even if he had to like get the water bottle across the room, you're like, ah! And you're like, what? Hey, calm down. But it's like this guy is running, man.
Matt Damon had a story. He's like, I'm sitting with Tom Cruise, and I'm sure they can share war stories of Born Identity and Mission Impossible. Matt Damon's like, he's like Tom, you did this stunt. I'm like, that's crazy. You ran around the whole thing or whatever. And he's like, you want to know how I did it? He's like, Tom's very intense. He's like, all on. He's like, I'm in though. Tom was like, I told the stunt guy I wanted to do this for like 10 years, and the stunt guy said it's too dangerous. So you know what I did? What did you do? I got a new stunt guy. Like Tom Cruise is going to and watching Mission Impossible. I wished that like Jackie Chan's trajectory and his trajectory like was more seamless in time. Because I'm like, imagine Jackie Chan coming on as like the big bad, and both of them are just doing their own stunts the whole time.
Yeah,
The
man.
insurance for this film would be ridiculous.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
But talk about in a roller coaster. One thing I'll say is some of the tropes in this movie did bug me. We'll get there. That's my. I had issues. There was some tropes in this movie that felt very
Also, they
dated.
changed the whole. And correct me if I'm wrong. We'll get to it, I guess, at some point. But they changed the whole backdrop of the IMF in this film.
They kind
Like
of
the
went.
IMF in other films, there was a recruit process and there was training thing. And remember, there was the girl in the one film where he was all mad she got. There's always a girl getting killed, but she
Trope.
was in a trope, right? Yeah, trope. And they go out of their way to make it a trope in this one and like spoon feed some of the information. But the IMF was like a military, covert
To my part one.
CIA. Huh?
To my part one.
I'm talking about like part 5 or 6. But
I don't remember.
in this one, it was more like you were a criminal at some point and then you got inducted.
Both might still work though. They still might have had to go through that same training, right?
It's new information being introduced
Mm,
9 films into it. How many Mission Possibles are there?
it's
I think
7.
this was 7. We're gonna get
7.
8. Part two
So
is 8.
7. So 7 films into it, this is new. We
Right.
never knew that this is how people were recruited.
This is the most backstory I think we've got about him, really.
Yeah.
And they were actually thinking about doing some de aging for those. We in the movie we get that back. We get a little backstory of
I
Tom
was glad.
Cruise with that.
You only ever see his back of his head.
I'm
Thank goodness.
because I don't want it to be a thing, and they shot a lot of this stuff back in 2021, and I'm not saying they couldn't fix it now, but it already cost 300 million. Like let it let it be. So the movie picks up with the submarine, right? And they're kind of like doing their own thing, the routine stuff, and they see a submarine in the distance on their radar. Fires a freaking warning, a freaking torpedo at it. They fire one back, but the submarine disappears. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? But on the submarine, we keep seeing this thing, which we find out is AI. I forgot how confusing the exposition is in a Mission Impossible movie. I forgot I just got to like lean back and just allow it to wash over me. This is
Okay.
a lot of information that comes in fast, and you're like, what am I supposed to pay attention to? There's going to be a lot of guys in offices talking in this movie. Maybe more so in the other ones. I don't remember this much just
Well, this thing started with the
information.
narration and it
Right.
ended with the narration, but the narration at the end made no damn sense.
I don't even remember it. We'll get there. So
Yeah.
I
like
mean, I feel like the first scene was easy to follow. It was, the submarine thing. Well, first it started with they were checking the AI with the
right.
key. They kind of put big emphasis on that key, and then
Yeah.
put the AI back in, bop bop bop, and then the whole Phantom attack, which I
Right.
thought was
Right.
pretty cool. Then I'm like,
How they
oh, so we popping some Skynet out here is what we're
We know
doing.
which was great, but usually in a Mission Impossible movie, I guess we never see it work that way again. Like I'm like, oh, that's dope. That's threatening. Like this thing can really, and then all it now does is I know everything about you. We went from you misguiding my torpedoes to now the threat is you know my high school girlfriend's name. Like that was like
Well,
scaring
but,
everybody later on. Like we
well,
forget what this thing is capable of.
but the what do they call it? The entity is what they call the sentient AI. The
Right.
entity didn't choose to go after the submarine. That was the Americans test driving the entity, but the
Right.
entity decided to blow up the submarine.
Right.
Because it's now thinking for itself.
Right. So remember, Carrie Ewell's Princess Bride, Wesley, later in the film tells us that they were beta testing a run with the entity on the submarine, but the entity goes rogue.
And that's where I'm too dumb for this because it's like there's so much information that like by the end he's like, I'm the one who did it. I'm like, did what? What are you talking about? Oh, I don't care. He's jumping off the train. Like, I'm like, what? You did what? Oh. But anyways, so basically they torpedo themselves. Their torpedo fires back at them. Pretty unsettling. But that shot, it felt like very the beginning of a Bond movie, right? With them bodies kind of floating up to the icy surface very slowly.
Yeah, actually,
Felt like we
Well,
can hear
good,
some
right?
like music going on. Very Bond.
Then you did. You went to the title sequence.
Dum, 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 dum. So then we pretty much got this carrier coming in. You know who he's gonna go come see. We
I
know
thought
he's
this thing
seeing.
was way too. This next scene was way too
No,
dramatic.
Jack, Ethan Hunt, after like part 3, always has a dope reveal. You think you're at a confessional, you think a priest is gonna come out, it's Ethan. You got a urinal, pop it out, it's Ethan. Like Ethan Hunt always.
He's right, but that wasn't this scene. This scene was dramatic.
Yeah, but he's always gonna come out. They always got to make it a moment. You know they
Well,
got to
we
make it a
knew.
moment.
Yeah, we knew what was going on though.
Yeah, yeah. And then we hear, if you choose to accept it, blah blah blah. Which is all. This is just fun stuff right now. This is fun if you're a fan of the franchise. If you're not a fan of the franchise, I don't know why you would even be watching part 7. So this is all fun. Tom
I was
Cruise
checking
looks
that.
great.
Wait, was it me or was the tape not moving when the tape recorder was playing? I feel like it wasn't moving.
I didn't notice.
Uh-huh.
Was it digital? It should be digital by this
No,
time.
it was
I know. I
tape
guess
in
it
it.
shouldn't.
It was a
I
physical
guess
tape in it.
analog. Yeah, that's what you can.
Yeah,
Huh.
the tape wasn't moving. I think some
It's the only shot
some
they
Gen
got.
Zer forgot how. Oh, I gotta turn that on.
Wow, think about that. You can have a Gen Zer in there going, so how's the tape recorder work?
How does this?
Right.
What
And,
do we do with
and in the
this?
same film, you can have someone actually driving off of a cliff, and not a tape recorder playing.
Right. We can figure that out. So then, he gets the mission if he chooses to accept it. The girl from his partner from the other movies, her name is, I forgot her name. I'm gonna check out her name. Issa Frost. Played by Rebecca Ferguson. Ilsa Foss. So basically she has the other half of the key, blah blah blah. You got to go get her. If you don't go get her, then there's a bunch of people she has a bounty on her head. If you don't get her,
she got like a $50
$100,000
million bounty or something like that.
It's 50. It was a lot. It
It was
was
a lot of
five,
money.
Like 50 million bounty on her head,
like 50 million. It was something stupid.
and people
then
knew where she at.
and we get Tom Cruise on a freaking horseback. He got that horse quiet. He quieted that horse behind that hill like I've never seen that in my life. Just like both him and the horse, like a Scooby Doo cartoon.
Right.
Just
And he
quiet.
executed, and he's actually on that horse too.
Jack, I think that's why they pitched it. He's like, you know what I really want to do? Ride horseback.
I want to
in
ride a
Middle
horse,
East.
and I want the
Right-
horse to run. I want
Write
that
the
horse
scene.
to run.
Right.
Actually, you know what he's going to do in Dead Reckoning 2? He's going to race a horse.
He's gonna race a horse.
He'll be on foot. The horse will be on foot.
And Dead Reckoning 3, the horse is gonna be on him. He's gonna carry that horse. The horse. This guy.
Yo, man, did you see the? Wait, did we talk about it on one of the shows? Someone actually, someone who trains Olympic track runners broke down Tom Cruise's running and said, one, he's gotten faster in films because he's running every film. But if you watch like those early day films, like
he's not really running. He's running kind of like
if you watch like The Firm and Fuga stuff like that. He's running, but his form takes a significant jump by the time you get to like Mission Impossible 3 or 4. And they say that Tom Cruise in that film, I forget what the statistic was. If you're watching this on YouTube, get away from us and go watch this other.
Wow, Jack.
First of all,
Don't.
the disrespect.
And then come back.
No. Just take our word for it.
Video, though.
Whatever
funny,
Jack's
man.
saying
Break
is
down
true.
The mechanics of his running.
Yeah, he's running 9s now.
He's actually
Yo.
really fast.
I don't even know if that's a thing.
He looks fast. I mean, it's hard to look fast on camera because we have no understanding of spatial relationship, but we just see his
that's
intensity.
why you need things in the foreground and background kind of moving.
Right, and usually they heighten it, right? But here, I don't feel like they hit the fast forward button here. I think he's booking it. He's booking it.
If that shot where he's running on top of the plane station, the airport.
Oh,
Go to the airport.
on.
First of all,
it's really kind of funny though.
that was funny.
It was funny.
It didn't seem like he was
I was
going that
laughing.
fast. You just see him look. It just pans up, and he's just like.
But I loved it because this is what I love about this, and he's very similar to Indiana Jones to me, where it's like
His stakes are high, man.
his heroics are effortful. Like
Yep.
it's not easy. He's not Schwarzenegger just coming in here and everybody gets taken out and doesn't break a sweat. When he runs through this airport, it looks like you got a long way to go, Ethan.
Yeah.
You know what I love about
But
what I love about Tom Cruise in these Mission Impossible movies? He plays confused and shocked so
Yeah.
well. Like I think it was part 4 when his wife has to defibrillate him to bring him back to life, and she shot all the people while he was out cold, and he wakes up and he's like surprised.
Is that Hoffman? Is that part 3 with Hoffman, or is that after Philip Seymour
Yeah, that's
Hoffman?
with Hoffman.
Part 3. Yeah. Part 3.
Right. And so, but his reaction is so good. He has a similar reaction when after he jumps off the cliff and eventually he's going to land on the train.
Right.
You're not entirely sure where he's going to land on the train, but when he finally does land into the train, let's say that,
he was like, "Oh, that works."
But his face was like so genuinely shocked. You're like, he was so out. He was disorientated. He probably actually crashed into the side of the train, which is why he was disorientated.
Oh, it probably was a real moving train. It's like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise doesn't act anymore. He's just really saving the world.
Yeah, but but to add on to that, like when he got into the car, to the little car.
Oh yeah,
right?
exactly. Like he was terrified
the
of the drive.
Yeah, but even before that, because usually when you see him get into a car, he just knows what he's doing, right? He just drives. Right. But he got into this car, he was like, oh, he crashed into the wall. Like he didn't realize how powerful it was, how fast it was. Like he didn't, he didn't know how to work the wipers. Like he didn't know what was going on.
And this is unique when you have a movie star, top of his game, can't tell him nothing, and he still is with a character he's in love with because he's been playing it for so long. Will still find moments where the sense of humor is because he's the butt of the joke and you watch him lean into it. That's what makes him so great. Any other person in this position would have been like, nah, I can't take my sunglasses off. Nah, I can't look like I'm weak here. Like freaking Vin Diesel on The Rock. Now we have it in contractually to throw the same amount of punches because one of us can't look weak.
Yeah.
It's James Bond, but with more humanity,
and humility, both. Because, Bond, even with Daniel Craig, you saw was effortful, but he never lost his swag. Like, Ethan will literally be like, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Charming.
Tom Cruise is charming, not...
But you also see that he recognizes, I get lucky. Some of this stuff was not supposed to work out. I got lucky here. And I love the first scene with them in the desert. And this is kind of what I missed in John Wick 4. Which is, for me and John Wick, the gunplay got a bit repetitive until we got those dope shots, overhead shot. But after a while, I felt like I kind of seen this already. And just taking a gunfight to a freaking sandstorm in the desert, just all of a sudden you take what would be a normal gunfight and it just looks different and the stakes are higher. And him getting these one-off shots, bang, 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 against the wind with messed up vision.
I wanted to know how they could even tell each other apart.
You don't. You just kind of guess. You hope. Right? You hope.
And scheduling must have been a nightmare for production, waiting for an actual windstorm to kick up.
Because Tom Cruise don't do CGI, Rich.
Well, you get some big fans and have people throwing sand in it.
He's like, no, we got to wait for this real storm. We get one shot at it. And then, but he
using live rounds.
Using only live. Tom Cruise uses live rounds. No, he doesn't shoot live rounds because he cares about his crew, but he insists that
everyone else
shoot live rounds. Why does this now feel like a complete stretch? So he finds Ilsa and she's dead. She's dead. She's on the ground dead. He has that look on his face. So my comrade died. Then we go into the office. Now this is interesting. The guy, not Fitzgerald. The guy who's kind of over IMF. That's his first time being in the series since part 1. He was in part 1 playing that role and hasn't been in another movie since. So we're kind of going back to some roots here. Ethan pretty much gasses the whole place, takes off the mask. I'm about to say, if that guy's not a villain, he's a terrible actor because all they kept cutting to him wide-eyed like.
Yeah. Like, what's this guy about to do? There's something about to happen.
Well, we knew it was Tom Cruise in a mask. But the problem with that scene for me was, man, they really spoon-fed and kind of leaned into... they let Carrie Ewell really ask some hysterical questions in it. Like
the exposition was
Impossible
crazy.
Mission Force. Yeah, there's so much... That scene was made for anyone who managed to have never seen a Mission Impossible movie ever.
That scene was made for anyone who's never seen a movie before ever. Like
it was really like, not well written.
And maybe it's a budget thing, poorly staged. They did shoot during COVID, but these are one of those scenes where like they talk about it in this book, Save the Cat, where you have exposition, and in that Tom Hanks movie where he is dealing with the Pope. What's the name of that movie?
I don't think I saw that one.
Anyway, it's a big movie, and they were like, they had the Pope swimming laps in the swimming pool as they're delivering the information. Because visually, seeing the Pope swimming as he's talking about the plot was just interesting and weird and fun. Similar to Michael Keaton with a bowl of spaghetti. When you just got a bunch of dudes in suits sitting down, monologuing, that's why they kept cutting to Tom Cruise.
But also they were monologuing on the meta level. They were monologuing about the idea of the film itself for the audience's point of view.
Right.
Whenever you have a group of people in a movie like Mission Impossible talking about what is IMF, Impossible Mission Force, well, that's a little. That scene is for the sake of the audience. It's not for the sake of the film. And so sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work. And in this case, it felt a little.
I think that was their way of trying to find humor as they freaking burned through this exposition, and it didn't. It fell flat.
I was like, why is she posted? Was it Indra? I'm probably butchering her name, but she was like laid up. You see how she was like kind of like laid in the chair, like legs were up, kind of just like sideways pose. Like, so what you're saying is, I'm like, what is going on here? What is this? Is this like an official meeting, or she just there to look pretty? What's happening?
What are you talking about? I'm trying to remember.
Bro, I saw it. Listen, I was very tuned in on this.
In that before he gasses the office?
Before he gasses the office, yeah, when they're doing the whole talking. They did like a kind of a faraway shot a little bit, more of a kind of a full room.
Uh-huh.
And she was like in a very weird, like a chair that just didn't look in place of a building of what that was.
Well, the whole building was weird because like they retrofitted the bottom of it so you could have 100,000 people like typing all the information into an analog form in case the sentient being destroyed everything. Yeah. Like, where was this space? It was a weird space.
Just government building, nondescript.
It wasn't interesting enough for me to not ask these questions. Because in movies where the exposition flies and everything visually looks dope, you're not asking the fake science questions. We're like, where are we? What are you doing back there? You don't even think about it because you're so focused on something else. You're engaged. Here it was like, I'm watching the clock tick. I'm looking at the sweat on his brow because I'm like, what are we talking about? And then you notice the woman in the chair because you're noticing all the things.
Yeah.
And I think they kept cutting back to, of course, Ethan in the mask because that was our only cutaway to humor outside the dialogue to at least break up the.
Was that humorous? It was just weird.
Well, he had a specific look. That's for sure. I mean, his
why like
bug-eyed? Yeah,
you're undercover. You know what you're doing. Why are you looking like you got a fart? Like, why are you looking like you don't know what to do here? That was for the audience to get. Anyway, so Ethan tells him, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get both sets of the keys. I'm going to destroy him. You don't want to do that. And then he officially goes rogue again.
Yeah. Like, he's never not rogue at this point.
I felt like his job was rogue. So basically, he's off to find the other key. We find out that Ilsa didn't die. She was down. He winds up faking her death with another body. He says, stay dead. I love that scene. I love those moments. The moments between his team and his friends, those sincere moments. I love them in every movie. Then what happens after that? Like, he's on a mission. He gets Simon Pegg, Bing Rames is back. He got the guys. The squad is back.
Well, they go to the airport to get the other half of the key.
Go to the airport.
Yes, and that's where they meet. What's her name?
Right, and this is where we get the. Right, this is Grace. This is where we get the plot of the film. The plot of the film is Tom Cruise wants to plant his half of the key on someone who's trying to get the other half of the key, so the key can be united. Then he'll go find out what the key actually unlocks and stop it, which is
terrible plan.
But here's my question: why not just destroy the keys?
Right.
Because they needed.
But if you destroy the keys, you can't stop the entity.
The AI, the entity. You need the key to control it.
Right.
And it's already taking on its own. And this airport sequence is dope because you also have agents showing up. Because, he's gone rogue. They're trying to stop him.
Right.
So the way they're using the satellites to mess with each other, and like you think that's his facial recognition wearing a mask, that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise in the airport, and he bumps into the pickpocket Grace, and this is where we get the first trope of this series, which is
What's that?
all it takes is a pretty face, huh, Ethan?
Yeah.
Like if it was me, would I've gotten that much love?
Nah,
Rich?
they would have called the police on you right away.
If I was like, Ethan, sleight of hand, would he like ask me
Air-
to join his team?
Airport
You know,
security would have
but if you watch all the Mission Impossible movies, all the girls have a very similar thing about them. You know, they all look like her.
But she looks a lot like the woman that plays his wife. I almost thought that was her at first.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, where is his wife?
Because his wife's not dead. So it's not
his
like
wife's not dead, but he is not in the picture really.
Well,
and
because
this
he
was
puts
funny
her in
because he was
danger.
alluding to having history with so many other characters.
Well, we got a flashback of him and this woman, and then we see an image of Isai Morales, who I love. This guy is like hot sauce. Like you put him in anything.
Man, just spice it up.
Yo, and I love that he's like in a big movie as a lead character, because this guy's been killing it since the freaking 70s, man.
Yeah.
He's so dope. My issue with his character is I don't like when you have to introduce backstory into the 7th film in a 28-year franchise.
Gotta get
Don't tell me what I didn't see. I saw you.
Gotta get him in there somehow, you know?
Well, what happens is this. In the original Mission Impossible movie, John Voight played the character in the TV show. So when he betrays his team, it was personal. Philip Seymour Hoffman in Part 3 went after Ethan's wife. It was personal. Here, you're trying to make it personal, and I don't care what the backstory. This character just showed up this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it intellectually, but I don't feel...
But exactly. You're 100% right. And also, it's not really needed. It's like the threat of this film is interesting enough where you almost don't need the rogue element at all. And you almost don't need the injected backstory conflict either.
No.
Like, it's interesting. It's actually it's interesting and it's topical.
It makes the villain more mustache twirling, making it personal. Like if it
Right.
wasn't personal, I'm killing these people because it's not personal. It's just
Right.
more chilling instead of like.
But
I
he
have
likes to
these
see
two-
him suffer.
which feels like not productive. I feel like you're wasting a lot of time and manpower,
Right.
just
And
to
you
watch
got this,
people suffer.
you got this ambiguous flashback story that we see where they're alluding to the idea that Tom Cruise is responsible for shooting the girl, but we know that this other guy is actually the
Of course
guy
we
who
know.
killed the girl, and Tom Cruise took the blame and was given the choice and took the choice. So Tom Cruise has always been a heroic figure. So even the flashbacks don't make sense, and we're not going to have that actually play out till part 2 if we get to part 2.
But we still have
what's
now we have a character we don't care about pretty much being responsible for this whole franchise. He made Ethan
Right.
into this agent,
Right.
pretty much.
Right.
I
Which
cared,
is
I
Exactly.
cared about
Which is
Gabriel.
also-
What you talking about?
you did not care about.
Yeah, I did. I'm like, look at this dude. He about to just
No, you like
Wreck
Isai.
shop.
You like the actor.
you got
You don't
the
care
red
about the
shop right
kid.
now. You know, pull out them
Man.
knives, about to do things. And that's what he
And
did.
just the most impractical weapon. Even if you don't bring knives to a sword fight.
Yo, when
For
I
both
was-
of them. I got to tell you this. I love a good sword fight and I love good choreography, but that fight on the bridge made no sense.
Because
Yeah.
the sword gets. She's too skilled with a weapon that gives her too much distance
Yeah.
to
Yes.
lose.
But
Maybe
also,
Grace with the sword would lose because
Yes.
she's not a skilled fighter. But
right.
Ilsa? Come on.
Right. No, it just didn't make sense. And the whole thing felt like I'm watching pretty choreography. It didn't feel like I'm watching a life and death fight. I
There
was
was
watching
so many
it-
moments where she had a kill strike and didn't take it because that wasn't the next move. Like I literally saw
Yes,
the
that's-
blade
that's
was
right.
up. Take
Yeah.
the
It
hit.
just didn't make sense.
Nah.
Just
So
didn't make sense.
run around the airport. Freaking Benji, he notices a suitcase is there. Then it was tagged. This is a weird suitcase. So we'll go check out the suitcase. Finger Range is keeping an eye on Ethan. Benji goes down there. There's a bomb. It's an atomic bomb. What are we gonna do? They don't tell Ethan about it because he might go down there and save the day. Don't do that. Don't tell the guy that's good at this.
He was
Because
busy.
right, because this key is more important than them all blowing up in an atomic fire.
You know,
Right.
priorities.
And then the key's gone anyway.
The key's gone anyway, and it turns out this was the entity pretty much letting them know, I know who you are.
Well, he was also testing. It was a psych
Testing
test.
them.
It
Yeah.
was a psych test. What did you do in the third grade
I don't
in,
want
in Miss
to
Johnson's class? I wet myself. He knows. He knows too much.
tell. It's traumatic, Rich. It's very traumatic. Have some respect. So pretty much the key gets away. Ethan sees freaking Gabriel. Holy crap, it's a ghost, but he didn't see him as a reflection. All that stuff happens. Grace gets arrested with her half of the key. And I got to talk about this trope some more. It's not just, it's the pretty face, and it's like there's no other quality that she has that should make Ethan trust her or want to work with her outside the fact that she's just pretty.
She pretty, bro.
Like it's an 80s trope. It's so 80s.
It's pretty privileged. Oh, you pretty? You on the team?
You on the team. You can be on the
distract.
team.
You have no fighting skills. I mean, you're good
You're
with your hands.
you're untrustworthy. You're just
Right?
stealing
Like-
stuff. You don't even know what to do.
Yeah, but you look good though. So
You look good.
join the team.
And we get the trope of the beautiful, psychotic, overpowered henchwoman.
Oh
Right.
wow. Yeah. I mean,
But she's captivating. I give her that. Her role doesn't make any sense in this. But
She's
captivating.
great in it, but we've seen this Harley Quinn, James Bond sidekick villain
over and over and over.
all the time. And like you're in a car chase and you're about to get hit and you laugh at the flame. Like that stuff was cool in like the 90s with Pierce Brosnan's Bond, but
Right.
it felt a
can
bit
we? First of all, I feel like Ethan was pulling his punches when he was fighting her because especially in the alleyway, that confined space of that, like you should have been knocking her out like 50 times already. And two, can we
Yeah.
leave Rome alone? Is it like
Yo, I think there's a tax cut. There must be a tax break
is it?
It's
Because
gotta
everyone
be.
seems to be destroying Rome at this point.
with cars.
Yeah.
You know what? I would destroy Rome too, though. Well, you
I-
live in Rome. Ours
I
had a great
loved
time.
Rome. I did, and
I
we
did
shot
not
in
have a-
Rome, so I think there is a tax.
Oh,
I didn't drive no cars through the street. And let me tell you what you can't do in Rome, Rich: a
What you can't?
high-speed car chase.
Uh,
Rome is like Manhattan. You are not having a high-speed car chase in the city of Rome. You'll just bumper to bumper.
yeah.
you know the best high-speed car moment in Manhattan was definitely Die Hard 3, where they took the park.
You had because
yeah.
you have to. I don't know with these Spider-Man movies, like he's chasing people down because the cab is driving. I'm like, where are you?
You can't. Yeah. And what time of day is it?
What time of day is it? 3:00.
That's
in the
like
morning?
Jack Bauer in going anywhere in California.
I know. 405. So basically, the airport, they lose the key. Grace is arrested. Ethan goes to get Grace. Yada, yada, yada. They got to break out of there. Gabriel's there to get the key as well. He's killing people. He's merciless. You see, he's a stone cold killer. Get Ethan, get the key. Agents are after Ethan. The police are after Ethan. And Gabriel's hench psychotic Harley Quinn woman's after Ethan. Big old car chase in the city. This is actually pretty freaking dope. They're in the car. Shots are being fired. He handcuffs himself to her, so he can't drive well, and she can't drive at all, but she learns how to drive really quickly. They end up getting into this Fiat that looks like a Bond car, but turns out to be like he does not know how this works. I don't know why he doesn't know. He just does not know.
Well,
How this
he
car
said,
works
well,
so well.
but they tell you it for the audience's sake. He says sometimes the settings on the cars are set weird.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
So-
need that. I can just
I
have
didn't-
him not know how to use all the machines. Like
Right.
sometimes
Which
you
is
need a
essentially what
manual. Yeah. So they start driving. Yada 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 yada. Car chase, car chase, car chase. Riveting. This is great. And I almost want to see the last Fast and the Furious to compare, like who had the better Rome car chase. This one felt like it had more stakes, but still didn't have much stakes because they were plowing through things and everybody was fine.
They
That's
really
kinda
were.
fun. Yeah.
And then they backed into like this subway where she winds up picking the lock, handcuffs him to the steering wheel. I love this. This is okay. This is a trope that I love where he's about to pick the lock in. Of course, the train's coming. I love that. That to me was great.
I mean, I saw that
But you
coming,
knew
but
that was going to happen.
yeah,
What-
I want to
what
know how he
liked
got that
was
steering wheel off.
He broke it off.
No,
He broke it
no.
off.
As a mechanic, there's no way. There's no way. I'm still
Okay,
like,
so
this, like
then I have questions too. because you saw it. You saw the car get hit, and you saw him jumping out the door off the passenger side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but some steering wheels do have a release. Like
This is a special. This is a special car too.
if you're in a
Plausible
a
deniability.
race car driver, those things they pop off.
That's not a race car, bro. That's a production car.
But no, but it's souped up. It's an
It
IMF
is
car.
That's true. That might
I'm gonna
be
go.
a gray area.
I'm gonna go out and come back in because I have
to
an echo.
quote,
Keep talking.
To quote Chris, it came off for reasons.
Whatever. All right, I'll give you that.
I'll give you that. So Lawrence is gone. All right. So pushing forward, what happens after that? Oh, then he's like dazed and confused, walking around with the steering wheel in his hand. Right. When his friends Benji show up in the van, and then they concoct. And the lady's there too. So the whole team is back together again, and they decide they have to go to where are they going? Venice.
They go to Venice.
Yeah, it's Venice.
They go to Venice, and they're going to infiltrate a party where the key is going to be sold.
Because you got the White Widow is there, and it's her party, and that's the woman from, if not the last one, then the one before the last one.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah. I didn't understand why he could just walk in. Like, because he's still wanted. Like, his images are everywhere.
The entity
reasons
let them in because we come to find out that the entity threw the party.
Right. This is where it gets a little hokey for me. But I rock with it. Because it's almost like a cult now. It's like,
and it almost looked like the entity party that John Wick was at in the last movie. Very similar.
They played the same. They got the same DJ.
We're there. We're destroying Rome. We're throwing big raves. It's going to be the move now,
dude. And I love that Ethan can't just take out his gun and take out like 10 people at once. Like, it's effortful. He can't just Superman his way out of here. He has to.
Did you see the guy with the gun when everything kind of was like coming to a head at the meeting? It was like very weird. The cameras was like really focusing on this one guy with like kind of like a afro or whatever, like a Middle Eastern dude. He was kind of doing some movements in the back. I was like, why are we focused on this guy? Like, why do we care about this guy right now? And nothing happened except the gun got knocked out of his hand.
Well, sometimes what happens on set, Rich, is an actor will have a really good kind of rapport and conversation and gel with the directors, the Tom Cruise lead people in the film, or just the cameraman, and they'll end up getting a little more love on screen than they would have otherwise.
Okay. I mean, my man had no lines.
That's what I'm saying, though. He might have just been a real joy that week on set for everybody.
We gotta give Homer some screen time. He's a good dude.
Homer let's share the love.
Sure.
So then they're running. Tom Cruise is running because
running.
So basically, there's gonna be a fight on the bridge,
right?
And it's either Grace who's gonna die, or Ilsa, whatever her name's gonna die. Someone you care about is gonna die, and I'm like, he don't care about Grace. He just met Grace. How is this the you choose?
Somehow he cares about her now,
right. Except for what he says is, I'll always care about you. Yeah. I'll care about you more than my life, at least. Which also...
that felt like a mission. Like, choose who you want to live between these two. For Ethan, he doesn't want anyone to die, so it matters. But, like, I guess the entity would know. But it felt like he doesn't know her enough for this ultimatum.
I mean, it was so, again... the dialogue and spoon-fed, and it's like William Dafoe when he's got Mary Jane in one hand and the bus full of school children in the other, and he's like, make a choice. And you're like,
right.
Come on, man. How many times do I got to see the hero have to make the choice?
But he didn't get to make the choice. He didn't even get there to make the choice. So, like, you lost the actual stakes of the question anyway.
So then why have the question in the first place?
That's what I'm
saying. And it would have been more interesting if you didn't give me the whole monologue about the question and just put it in action where he was in a situation where he had to make a choice.
Unless you do a Dark Knight thing where you put a twist on it. You thought you were going to go rescue Rachel and you went for the wrong one. That's how you do it.
Dude,
That
that moment in
was
that
dope.
film
That's
was
brilliant.
right.
Yeah.
And when he walked in there and Dent is in there going, "Not me, not me," and you're
Why
like,
is
Yeah.
it?
"Oh man," talk about like heart wrenching.
And Batman's like, no, listen, I didn't choose you. Don't take it.
Wow.
Don't get in your feelings about this. I really didn't want to choose you.
Wow,
So
that moment was great, and that
it's
was not
brilliant.
this moment at all.
No, and then Ilsa fights Gabriel. I don't know why fight him? Why are you fighting him?
But why didn't she just? And why she pull out a sword?
Why didn't she shoot him? They don't got guns no more. They always had
Right?
guns.
I guess she
Like the
didn't have a
logic
gun.
goes
I don't
straight out
know.
the window. The logic goes straight out the window.
She had
I
this
didn't get
this
it.
sword cane. I don't know where. Why did she have this? Did she get shot in the leg or something? No, she didn't. She was good. Why
She
did she
did
need a
get
sword?
shot.
Fine.
She got shot at one point. Yes. No, she got stabbed at
She
one
got
point. She got
stabbed.
stabbed
That's
in the
during
leg.
the
In the
fight, though.
fight,
But
during
why do
that
you have
fight,
why do you have a sword cane just on a regular? Just here, you know.
she's walking around with a sword. Like they got machine guns.
Like,
So she's fighting him, and well, no, he's fighting freaking Grace first, and
Yeah.
she's holding her own for far too long.
too
Right,
long.
and she's doing magic trick with knives, but instead
Yeah.
of just like pulling out a knife and shanking the dude, she reveals the fact that she
Like,
had the extra
hey,
knife.
look at this one.
I just come on, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm watching.
Them show the audience, and I would have loved the logical thing is he stands up to fight her, and she just runs away. Like,
Right,
Yeah.
because why is
she-
she even trying?
why are you even trying? So Ilsa comes, saves her life. She takes a knife. She dies. Ethan gets there, but before that, he has. That's a dope little alleyway fight.
But I will say this though, the Grace character in several moments in the film, you see her actually being an adept fighter
Because she needs to be, because we need her to be later. But like,
because she
why?
has to. Right, because she has to have the option of being inducted, and so she needs some sort of skills. Yeah, why she's a pickpocket? Why is she a martial artist?
And not just like you're fighting goons. You're like fighting like other people that are
Yeah, like
accomplished fighters, trained
killers.
killers.
Right,
But that fight, that alleyway fight with Ethan versus Harley Quinn and,
And
the
the
other
dude.
and
Much,
the
yeah.
dude was pretty great, man. I wish it just had a sense of time is running out. That's what they wanted for it. Like time is running out. Will he
Yeah.
get out? You know he's going to get out of the alley, but will he get out in time? And
Right.
it just didn't hit that type of urgency for me.
yeah. It started. You know what? It started out that way because you saw him do what you wish the girl had done. He
Run.
tried to run away.
Yeah.
He tried to run away.
Yeah, that
Which is
scene-
logical.
That scene
Wait,
wasn't
but it
hitting
also
for
told
me.
us he didn't have time to engage, so he's trying to run away.
Right.
Yeah, that scene wasn't hitting
Uh,
for me because when Palm, like, she had a pipe. I'm like, what are you gonna do with this pipe in this confined
And why did
space?
she have a pipe? She had no weapon. She picked up the pipe.
Yeah. I was
Where
like,
are
what
all
you
their
doing with this?
guns now?
The guns are gone, man.
Like I get he doesn't have his gun because they probably but
Kochek took it. They forgot to claim him.
rich.
Yeah.
And here's another trope.
Okay.
This woman's a psychotic person. She kills several people in Rome just driving.
Yeah.
And he spares her life because she's pretty.
She
No,
If it wasn't-
he spared her life because she was a girl.
Right.
and she's
Pretty
pretty.
sure, but she was a girl, which is why he was kind of pulling his punches. He didn't pull his punches on the guy. Of
Right,
course,
and
he
he-
did smash her head into the brick wall. And you know
He
that
wasn't
had-
pulling her punches. At that last moment, he didn't because she's a girl. You're right, but she's also a pretty girl, and we know how Ethan is with pretty. If it was me fighting him, he would have put
He would've-
pipe.
That
Rich.
pipe, he would have bashed your face in with that pipe.
Pause.
So so he's sexist. That's what it boils down to.
We'll say he's a romantic,
But
but
in a good
it's
way.
it's a trope. It's an overplayed trope.
The good
and they-
guy can't punch the girl.
the good guy can't punch specifically the pretty girl
Mhm.
because you didn't just cast an average looking woman to fight him. You have these beautiful women around him that he can't. Like he says, Issa, like you're dead. Don't come back. She comes back, and he's like, okay, fine.
You know
Grace,
who would've
okay,
killed him?
fine.
John Wick. Just
Oh.
saying. John Wick would have been
John
like, you
Wick-
done.
Don't discriminate. If you want the smoke, you got
There
it.
was a movie, man. I forget what
Got
the
it.
movie was. I feel like it was in the 90s. And the hero is the first time I saw a hero figure just straight punch the villain girl in the face. Do you remember that movie? I was sitting there going, did he just punched? It was like I forget what the movie was.
I'm trying to
It needed to
remember.
happen though. Oh,
But I
you know what? I
mean,
think it's also Bruce Willis does in the
I'm
Die
about to
Hard.
think
He,
about
like,
Bruce
straight like
Willis.
rips all. It might have been. It might have been.
But here's the thing, and it's not. I don't think they're doing it because it's like men shouldn't hit women because we've proven that she's a super soldier, right? She's
Right.
not just
She's definitely capable.
but it's that Bond thing where it's like any pretty face could be good because they're pretty. And which happens at the end is like you're gonna betray me because he spared your life, and in the end, she tells him everything he needs to know because pretty girls, even if they're bad,
There's redemption.
can always be redeemed.
Right.
But that henchman, you just gonna throw him out the train. Like, what about
Yeah,
him?
right.
He got kids. He's trying to like. He's like, I don't even want to be here.
All
Dog.
he wanted to do was make enough money for braces for little Emma.
Yeah.
Like, what
I would have told you about the submarine, dog. You ain't throw me at the plane.
like, man, they don't pay me enough for this. What do you need to know?
So that trope started to feel overdone, and it felt like this movie was too sophisticated to overplay that trope. Anyways, Issa dies. The team rallies on, and she's quickly replaced with Grace. Like, and they mourned her, but she is like, it's like we got a spot open for you.
Hey,
Like instantly.
Well, they need a woman to
No,
wear the
he
mask.
mourned her more in the fake mourning scene than
Mhm.
he did in the actual mourning scene.
But that's the story. I saw Tom Cruise carry that weight for a long time, even when the story
Yeah.
didn't dictate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they needed a woman to wear the White Widow's mask. Like
Yeah.
that was the plan. So they create a mask for Grace. Grace is like, well, I don't know about this. And Ethan's like, listen, I will always put your life before mine. Always. And dude, Tom Cruise, I believed every freaking word. That almost brought me to tears, Rich. Like
Did it?
like his being, like his entire being was like, you looked in his eyes. I detected no lie. No lie.
Yeah, I mean,
Love.
his
The
job,
guy's not
to
lying
make you
anymore. I
believe.
mean, he's doing everything authentic.
Listen, Tom Cruise think this is real.
He does.
they just shooting around him. He's Daniel Day-Lewis in this for real. So they go to create a mask for her and one for Ethan, but the AI
Which, of
messed
course,
up
the
the
machine
mask.
stops working again.
Did the
Like,
AI
how many
mess it up?
movies
I thought-
has this machine not worked?
just
Well, the AI
flawlessly.
messed it up.
No, he didn't say the AI messed it up. He just said it just haywired.
It shorted out.
Yeah,
That's just really.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much what he said.
Yeah,
But it
I
al-
thought it
but it
was, I
always
thought it
does
was
that.
the AI too for a moment, but they didn't actually say that. They said the machine shorted out
Yeah,
essentially, which wouldn't be the first time the machine is shorted out on him.
Which I kind of like. I like that
Like
because
this,
that's what happens.
this damn machine is like a clunky car.
Because when you're rogue, you don't actually have a headquarters that you actually set up base. You kind of just always packing and moving, and
But how do they
Yeah.
always have the info? That like they always have the equipment though.
they,
They never
always
do
have the equipment
equipment, and they're almost always
somewhere
on some
else,
grid safe house thing.
and that's why their equipment always messes up.
you gotta have safe houses. You know, you on the run, you gotta have places to go. I
So
like how
he-
they have the Johnny on the spot, the car locator. You know, need a safe
Safe
car.
car.
That
That's
was
it.
dope.
Yeah.
That was dope. I felt like they could have used
And it
that
was
for
a
more.
fake out. That moment was fun too because they faked it out. You saw that hot looking gray car, and then the other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I wanted to see that more for like weapon stashes. Like don't just stash. Maybe and Jack. Maybe that's how they always have that equipment lying around different places.
well,
and-
you see that in Ghost Protocol. You know,
Yeah.
this stash houses, and there's one on like a subway or a train or something.
So who knows how long these mask makers that might not have been used for like 15 years. But it's the stash house we haven't needed, and hopefully it works.
Right?
Hope so. So basically, they're gonna go on the train, but they can't. So she has to go on the train by herself. She's scared, but you can do this. You can do this. Why? Because Ethan believes it. I love it. We believe it, so it has to be
Ethan
true.
Believes it. Yeah.
You'll,
And that's-
wait, you know what they say though? How many times did they say this in this film? You'll figure it out.
I love it.
That's
he
Figure it
does-
out.
Because he's
story
not
of my
even.
life.
He doesn't have an answer. He actually doesn't know how, but he knows that when you're in the situation,
You'll figure
you'll
it
make
out.
the right. Yeah, you'll figure it out. So
Figure it out.
basically, He's like, I will be on that train. She goes on a train as the White Widow, does all that stuff, meets with the guy. She tries to get herself Grace off and get money and all that stuff. And she's like, maybe I'll just double cross this whole thing, get money and clear my name.
Mm.
Ethan is like, Gabriel's on the train, they're gonna go faster. So like, holy crap, I can't get on this train. I think I missed it, Benji.
I mean,
It's
you
like,
want to talk about a moment where just people just doing their job and they're dying. That
Like-
was it, bro.
I've been shoveling coal in the train my entire life. My
Right.
dad's dad did it.
My
And now
man, my man was about to retire. He did 30 years. He was about to retire, and he's hanging from the train whistle.
dude,
Come on, man.
ruthless.
Yeah.
Ruthless. I didn't even know they still made trains like that. I watched Bullet Train. I'm like, they still make these trains that need like shoveling coal?
Yeah, they do. They do.
I guess
It's a
I
thing.
get-
Some people.
I thought that was more for like transit trains, not like you actually have cars with people in them.
It's I think it's like a specialty thing. It's like, they're not all over the place, but they have like train trips where they're.
What country
were
were they in? Though?
Yeah, I forgot what country they're in, but yeah.
Right, so that's probably something to do with it too,
Very true. So he misses the train, and Benji's like, well, follow this trail. They're all analog now because, the freaking entity is messed up with their satellite system. They can't trust anything. Bing Rames is gone. He has to figure out how to wipe this.
I thought the entity was going to take over Benji's car because wouldn't that be kind of hooked up to some type of Wi-Fi or something?
Right? Because how was it driving itself?
Yeah.
It had to have been hooked
Because
up.
GPS still is satellite, right?
Yeah.
I thought that too, Rich. I was like, it was fun when he jumped in the passenger seat and said self drive, but it also kind of didn't make sense.
But he needed to be where Ethan landed because he didn't need to be in a car to have this scene. But he needed to be there in person, I guess, for when Ethan
but he
landed.
could have pulled off to the side and done the computer stuff. Would have logically made more sense, especially if the whole point of it was being analog.
And it would have been funny if he got the idea. He looked at the dash and was like, oh, I got to get out of here. Like, you see the fear on his face.
Yeah.
Like, nothing happens, but he registers like, uh-oh.
This is a questionable choice.
So Ethan's driving up this mountain, and we're about to see the scene that we've seen. And it is, I will say this, it is breathtaking on the big screen. Holy freaking crap. That thing is, it's wide, baby.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? What?
When he drives off the mountain. The shot.
Okay, yeah.
on the big
Yeah.
screen.
All right.
It's wide.
Yeah. That's what she said also.
Wow. Anyway, so he takes the jump.
And freaking Grace is on a train. She decides not to take the money and quickly figure out
right, but at this point, keep going.
well, she decides not to take the money or whatever. She leaves the train car. The actual White Widow comes in disoriented. They're like, holy
and the
crap,
cops
that's
are
not
on
her.
the train now too.
The cops on the, I don't know. They're really great at their job of tracking to this guy who's off the grid.
Exceptional.
Right?
They're everywhere they need.
Either they are so beyond good at their job, or Ethan and everyone else is just really bad at their jobs. But there's no gray area. It's one or the other.
So basically, she's
and also,
running.
they're international. Like, they have been tracking him across the globe at this point.
Yeah.
And he's leaving no footprint.
Zero.
He's not
like zero. Breadcrumbs, footprints. I mean,
nothing.
He has a hunch, He's like, listen, I have a feeling he's going to be on this old-fashioned steam train
in Ireland.
Yeah.
Right.
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
Let's go to the party. That was almost random.
Let's go to this party that no one knows about because it's off the grid.
Right. Like very good at their jobs.
Very good. And how are we going to get in? Punch them in the face.
Tase them.
No security. No security. Just go tase them.
Right. And so camera on this one.
No security cameras. No actual security. Although the entity is watching everything and knows everything. Anyways, don't peel the layers back too hard here.
Yeah, not too hard.
So she's running for her life, and then as soon as she's about to get captured, Ethan flies into the train car and pretty much smashes the guy. And he looks at her. He's like, "Grace, like, she doing something peculiar."
Yeah.
And we talked about it earlier. Just Ethan's complete shock that he pulled it off,
and that he managed to hit that car.
Yeah.
And he probably misjudged his landing. He probably was trying to land safely on top of it.
On the
And then the
right.
plane just
Yeah.
like veer off to the
It
window.
was definitely going too fast. Also, what was that train car made out of? Paper mache?
Well, think about it. He also had to fly in through the window. So the margin of error, he could have like splattered against that wall.
But the wall opened up. He went through
It did.
one window wall, and
Yeah.
knocked the other guy out the other window wall, and then he's kind of in between
It's
the
pretty
two
fragile
openings.
stuff.
Which, if that was even possible, he still would have like shattered every bone in his body as he collided into that guy with enough force to send him
Maybe
through a
that's why
wall.
he was so confused. He was like, "Funny, I didn't break any bones."
He should at least been. He didn't bleed.
No.
No, but neither did the pretty psychotic girl when he was banging her head against a cinder block wall.
You should get a little blood. A
There
little
was no
Bruce
blood.
Willis, a little diehard blood, nothing crazy. Just a
Anyway,
little
I
Bruce
mean,
Willis
she also
blood.
got stabbed in the heart and was able to make it out of the car to
Was it the
help
heart?
him. It,
I guess.
it was
Like
enough
that.
to make her bleed out, like somewhere around
So-
there, nicked
so-
an artery, something.
While this is going on, as Richard said, Carrie, the guy
Hughes?
over the whole thing. Yes, we pretty much find out he wants the key because he wants to be United States to be a mega power. He wants to have all the control.
No, he wanted to erase the whole system and start over.
Yeah.
But he want with ultimate control.
Yeah.
To have two villains, mustache twirling at the same time in the same scene.
Can only have one. There can only be one.
One. So basically, after he tells them everything, and he's like, "I'm the only one who knows." Wait, how does Gabriel know? He didn't tell him where it is.
No, he didn't. I don't know. They didn't
He
explain
already
that.
knew?
Yeah, I don't know.
So then, why did they even have this meeting?
I have no idea.
Who knows?
There's a lot of exposition for the sake of getting the dialogue on.
I guess all we needed to hear is Gabriel hearing him say, "He's the only one who knows." Cool,
Right.
you're the only one. I just got to kill you.
Great.
Cuts his throat and then stabs Harley Quinn in the freaking rib chest heart because
You're
he's
gonna
like,
betray me.
"He spared your life. You're going to betray me." He should have said,
And how
"You're
did
pretty,"
he even
and he
know
spares your life.
Right.
Well, because I guess if she walked out of a fight with Ethan and is alive, you must have spared her life. And the entity. You always can say the entity told him, though.
Right. Okay. The entity told him.
It ran an algorithm with all these possibilities, So basically, he stabs her, and then flash forward to the train car.
Mhm.
The train's.
They're in.
Is the train falling apart yet?
No, not
Yeah.
yet.
Well, now they're running. They detach the front car.
Right.
There's bombs on a bridge, of course. There's
Wait.
another
Why is there bombs on the bridge?
And these bombs look so nice and well distributed and like state of the art. I mean, they are nice looking bombs.
Like, who climbed over there and stuck them all so perfectly?
People.
I
But
mean,
wait.
someone who loves their job.
Why did Gabriel need to blow up the train?
Because
Why did he need to
because
blow up the
entity told him
bridge?
to. The
See,
entity told him to.
We can always say that, right? Because the entity told. We can always okay.
They got, but he's like a zealot for the entity right now.
Right.
And
But
I
it would
feel
have been
like there
better
are
if they
more.
didn't blow up the bridge. Like, make it look like everything was fine. Don't draw any attention to any of us.
No. If
No,
the
we're
machine
gonna-
tells you to do something, you do it.
So they
Wow.
so they managed to unhook the front car. That's the mechanics of it have been broken, so it's no
Which-
stopping it,
Which was thrilling. This whole sequence was freaking thrilling.
which was great. And then, oh yeah, there's the whole fight scene with the cops on the top of the bridge, top
him,
of the train.
him saving their life as
Right, because he does.
and him and Gabriel's fight on the train car wasn't as thrilling because I just
Because
remember
again, knives. What's up with these
we're
knives?
not just that, but we saw a one-on-one fight on a train in part 1, and that fight still holds up on that train.
Right,
part
and
one,
they
when they're
had
on, like, a bullet
helicopter
train.
in the tunnel.
Yeah. A helicopter was in the tunnel in part 1. Yeah, it's like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah, like how many times you can fight on the train? Now the difference was they
Many
were actually
times
on top
Tom
of the
Cruise
train. This-
wants to fight on a train. They'll fight on a train, okay?
You're right.
Yeah.
There was something very Matrix on top of the moving car
still-
to me.
It still needs to, like, it can't be real though. So there's always going to be there's no gravity. There's something about the gravity. But what I
Well,
love,
with the freaking wind, right? Because if there's
you
something
wouldn't
odd.
be standing up. You can't stand up straight on a moving train like that. You don't have any grips in your feet. You don't have a special shoe that's like a.
Well, I mean, Indiana Jones did it pretty good.
Don't
Okay.
don't bring up.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay, so moving along, they detach the front car, but then, dun dun dun, the bridge blows up and the
But
front
can I
smashed
say
together.
one thing real quick? I love that Ethan is so seasoned that this is not his first fight on a train. I love that it's not his first one. I love that this character's been in so much stuff.
That's
He's like,
interesting.
I'm on the train again.
Fighting on top of
On
the
the
train.
train again. I love that for him. I love that.
But this is definitely the first time he's then. You know what else this kind of reminded me of? The train sequence reminded me of the comic book movie. Comic book movie. Uh,
Movie?
Spider-Man 2? No.
no, with the same actor though. Not. I mean, this Tom Holland's in it. Just came out.
Huh?
What? Drake. Nathan.
Oh, Uncharted.
Uncharted, right?
Ah.
So there's that scene where they're in the plane and they're jumping on the cargo bay,
Mhm.
and the next thing's coming out. That's pretty much what this sequence kind of looked like. So the train's going over the bridge, and then that falls, and they're on the next one, but then that one's going over, and then they're on the next one, and then that one's over. It's very,
I loved it though.
yeah.
I loved because they gave it moments to breathe. It felt like it wasn't just one after another. It was like one pause.
When
Grace,
each
are
of them
you
were
okay?
different, that was what was
Yeah.
interesting. They actually, each of the cars had something
And the
else.
fried chicken grease spilling over while you try.
Man, I was like, they're gonna get some type of burn on this one. Like they
Oh,
got
yeah.
to.
She caught on fire.
Yeah.
And what made this sequence not so cartoony is just Ethan's check-ins. Are you okay? It's gonna be
Right.
okay.
You
You
definitely
got
cared.
this. That I mean, without emotion, this would just felt like a cartoon, and
Right.
I love that. And I thought they were gonna kiss. I wanted it. I wanted it.
I wouldn't want it now.
Why? She's
Why would-
beautiful, and he's a handsome man. Like that's
First of all, that's a married man. Okay, I don't care if they forgot it.
Hey, Rich, where you
That's a
been,
married man.
man?
Second of all,
Jesus.
hey, you
why?
right. You
I
right.
loved when they're in the car with the grand piano. I loved when everything just went vertical.
Yeah. And that
like
piano's hanging off of a hook.
yeah, and I like just like how like gravity
A
kind of
really
changes,
good
or like the dynamics of the car changes everything. Like because you think about it, like you're in a room and you're like standing straight up, and everything just kind of shifts. And I
It
was
was
like,
very Inception. It
Yeah.
was very Inception. All of a sudden, your point of view is like Inception, Titanic, like you're hanging from something that you're supposed to be sitting on.
yeah,
Yeah,
Right,
very
like
good.
he grabs the bar, and I was like, "That's really convenient that bar is there." And then it broke, and I'm like, "Right," because it's not supposed to be made. It's not supposed to be used like that.
yeah.
Which is why this movie, when it comes to action, he could hinge on trope, but then like yes, Indiana Jones. This is Indiana Jones stuff. The bar breaks. Die Hard. It does like nothing actually works well. It's not a Schwarzenegger film where like you can climb this plastic scaffolding like it's made of steel because
Right.
reasons. Here it's like yeah, it's all falling apart. The baby grand piano is on a hook. It's about to crash. Grace is like, "Do you trust me?" I love that she says no first.
And then well, that was hysterical. She refused to let go of him. Also,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
that
love
was
it.
really interesting.
He's like Grace, and I felt like that was actors on set just finding stuff. That felt so just. That wasn't written. Y'all found that.
Yeah.
It felt so real and wonderful and unique. You know, put Ethan in the place of like.
Well, that's why a kiss wouldn't work, man. It was almost like a father figure.
No, she was too beautiful to be here. No, that's not his.
Like
He ain't
an
her
older
daddy.
brother.
No.
Yeah,
gonna-
or
he-
an
a cousin?
much older brother.
He gonna kiss her in part 2.
So a kissing
Okay.
cousin.
Hey man,
Anyway,
get in where you fit in.
then what happens is they're still
So-
not able to make it out without the help of
Harley Quinn.
Harley
What is her
Quinn.
actual name? What's the character's name?
I don't even. Hold on, where's she at? Her name is Palm. She's from
That's the actress's
Paris.
Paris. So Paris helps them, and yeah, it was because he spared her life. Or did the algorithm do that Matrix thing? Like if Gabriel didn't stab you in that moment, would you have helped Ethan? Like which happened first? Remember in the Matrix where she's like, watch the cookie jar and he
Mhm.
smashes it. She's like, you're gonna wonder like, would you have knocked it down if I didn't say anything?
Mm.
Chicken or egg thing. So basically, she has the longest death and she doesn't die. There's still a pulse.
Yeah, she's still alive.
She's definitely coming back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Bruh. She's
This is
gonna
like
be
that
a new
because
member of the team.
well, that's Fast and the Furious, right? Whenever if you're a villain in one movie and you survive, you come back to be part of the family in the
Yeah.
next one.
Right.
That's how it works in the Fast and the Furious. Jason Statham, John Cena.
But if you
Like,
get
they all
stabbed
just-
right around the heart or under the heart or around the heart and some sort of artery, don't you need like recovery time?
Ethan Hunt blasted through a runaway train with his body.
Okay, and so then what happens is
The freaking agents show up. So
well,
does
wait,
Kittredge.
but
The
Ethan
speed
manages
shoot. Yes, go ahead.
he manages to actually get both parts of the key.
Yeah.
And that's where the big thing is the entity and his zealot do not actually have the key.
Which is the big reveal, because last time we see the key, it's in Gabriel's pocket.
Right.
But this movie-
everybody's doing magic tricks in this film.
Everyone.
We're pickpocketing every other scene. They should have
Everybody-
slowed down on it.
You know, like everyone's getting their pockets picked.
And everyone's very
know.
good at it.
Hey, what
And-
time is it? Oh, you trying to find a time on this
also-
watch?
Which also, why did Tom Cruise need her to put the key back in the other guy's pocket if he was so good at doing it in the first place? He could have just done it.
He was being hunted though. He had
In the
people on him.
airport.
He had people on him.
They were face manipulation, swapping things.
But it was
But I think
it
caught
ran
on
its
to
course.
it.
They caught
Yeah.
on, and she by doing what she did, she added more time to what would have been a quick plan.
Right.
Come on, reasons, Shaq.
You know,
So by this point, there's a speed shoot that's only one. Grace is like, "Go, you have to go." He doesn't want to, but he goes, and she meets Kittredge in the agency. Says, "Kittredge, Ethan told me to tell you that
I
I
choose
hear
yes."
you have an offer, and I choose yes." And at this point, I thought, "Isn't he bad?" No, he's
right.
not.
I'm like, why are we trusting this guy? Like, what? I don't know.
But I guess him
but
getting the
he-
key
was
wasn't going to
he-
be bad.
Right. Was he bad or was Carrie Yule's character the
Well,
bad character?
Carrie was bad because he said he wants it for ultimate power. Maybe Kittredge just wanted it because he believes the USA should have it.
Should have it. Right.
So he's just doing the job that he sent Ethan to do,
Right.
which is get me the
exactly.
key. So I guess
And
he's
then
not
he
bad.
and then he has another monologue. So this guy Kittredge opens the movie with a monologue, and then he closes the movie with a
Jack,
monologue.
I forgot there's a monologue. I tuned all that out.
Because
I
it was
stopped listening.
because the monologue was weird because he was basically giving him his mission objectives again.
Right.
And
Which-
then there was the post credit scene. Which
No,
made
there wasn't.
no sense. Oh yeah,
You're
you're
a
right.
liar.
I'm like, what
Because I
the-
checked. I said I'm not staying to find out.
I just left. I didn't even stay. I didn't even check this. Well, the movie that I was in, I couldn't check because it kind of puts you in a dark zone. It's a weird movie.
That's dope. I like that. Can't
Thank
use your
goodness.
phones.
Yeah.
Right? That would be nice.
But what's crazy is Gabriel checks his pockets to find out there's no key, and I feel like, dude, things fall out of my pocket all the time, and I'm not fighting on a train. Like that's not the craziest thing that happened to you that your key fell out your pocket.
Like,
I felt like this should have been
you was on top of a speeding train. Like,
like he might not have pickpocketed you. It might just fell out your pocket. I felt like
That's funny.
supposed to be a twist. Was
Also,
kinda
he
like,
did jump off of the train.
right, yeah,
So-
and he jumped over.
But
the
how
train.
did the timing of that even make sense, though? How did he know he was going to be on top of that car at that point?
the entity?
the
told him,
entity.
Man, you need to
Okay,
give
alright,
it the program, the
sure.
entity. You know, just like he was in the box because the entity allowed him to be in the box.
Yeah, the entity. Did you guys think about on the train how like when they were dodging all those freaking pipes about Indiana Jones when the bad guy just took one to the face and came back like nothing happened? I'm like, remember Jack?
He did.
That bad guy took
With
one of them
no-
things to the face on top of that train, came
no
back
type
years
of
later. Like
disfiguration. He just came back just a little bit older. You know.
the things that kill people in Mission Impossible, they walk off in Indiana Jones.
Anyone get
Oh
hit in the
man,
face by any stationary object while you're on a moving train?
you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. So Ethan has the key, and now it's all about finding what it unlocks. End of part one. Now
Mm.
I'll say this: I'll rate this movie because I do see it as one movie, even though it's in two parts. I want to see part two to justify why this needed to be two parts. There's a lot of filler here. We could have got on with it. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, that could not be resolved in that movie,
No.
or it needed to be a very long movie. This, I'm like, we were chasing this key for 2.5 hours.
It was too much damn running, too much damn sleight of hand. What are
Like
we doing right now?
we could have got to what is this key
There
unlock.
also might have been too many plot points. Like, did we need all the elements that are in the film? Did we need the rogue element? Did we need the good guys being bad guys element? Could this have just been, the sentient thing that we're trying to shut down, and there's the conflict to do that? Like,
But wait,
potentially this thing could have been a lot more streamlined. You didn't necessarily need the flashbacks.
No.
did they
Yeah,
even go rogue? Because I feel like they were still doing the same
they
thing of getting the key.
they did go rogue because they're not trying to give the key to Kittredge. They're trying to not. Kittredge wants to control the entity. Tom
Mhm.
Cruise wants to destroy the entity. That's why they've gone rogue.
So I got
But
them
they were still
cops
trying to
showing
get the
up.
key though. Like,
They're
so
trying
what?
to get the key, but their end game is different. Tom Cruise wants to kill the entity. Kittredge wants to control and weaponize the entity.
I feel
Tom
like
Cruise does not want him to have that.
they added the rogue part too soon. Then that, like they just they could have just kept this as them just trying to get the key at this point, and then
Right.
maybe film two they go rogue or
Well,
film three.
because it's not like he uses, at least after part three, four and on, he doesn't use all the resources of the United States government or he uses his team.
Right.
So it's not like making him go rogue. Well, now he's isolated. He always works isolated. He doesn't
Right.
make a phone
He's
call.
always off the grid. Right.
He's
That's why
always
they
off the grid.
disavow him. Nah, we don't know these three guys.
Right. No, but that's his whole thing. If you or your team get killed, we'll erase your records. Like you're not allowed to even be on the grid. So him
Right.
going rogue was just adding more stakes in for the agents to catch him. But they were so like Dudley Do Right. Like I never feared that these guys were gonna catch him. And I'll say this. I'll say one last thing. It's not gonna be the last thing I say. I was waiting for a clever moment in this movie with a character that wasn't Tom Cruise. Because when Henry Cavill did them shotgun arms in the last one, like it broke the internet. I was waiting
That
for
was-
like,
yeah.
what's that moment here where like
But
there's a
do
formidable
you know
force?
you know the story of that, though, right?
Yeah, his tendons were sore, but
He was tired. They had been shooting that fight scene over and over again, and so he was just loosening up his arms before the next go, and they ended up keeping it.
Right.
It was still good. Like,
It was so good. That's why they kept it. And he was
But
like,
it-
"You're not actually using that, are you?"
but his character was also like on par with Ethan, fighting side by side and against him. Whereas Isa felt like Gabriel felt like you're really just a mustache twirling the entire time,
Well,
making me think you're dangerous.
He has no character.
Right.
He has no character. But the script doesn't allot it. He's not. Well, like, yeah, it's weird. Like, what's driving him other than, oh man, there's this really smart computer and it wants to be my friend. I guess I'll do what it tells me to, and
And
it's gonna let me hurt people along the way.
because I love hurting people. And even like if his bridge fight would have been dope, because nothing beats that freaking bathroom fight with Cavill and Cruz in this movie. That bathroom fight was so
Yeah.
sick and
Yeah.
painful looking.
But that's what's hard about this film. It's like, is it a good film? Yeah, it's fun. Is it a
Yeah.
good Mission Impossible movie? Absolutely. Is it the best?
No,
Well, it doesn't have the best fight scenes, and it doesn't have the best stunt. I mean,
nothing's going to beat Halo dropping from the atmosphere. Like that's the craziest thing. Tom
Right.
Cruise skydived from the atmosphere.
right.
Like that's
So, like,
right.
yeah, and we've seen it. I mean, the stunts. When he was on the side of the airplane, dude, that was insane.
Yeah. When he held his breath for 6 minutes in the
Also,
underwater.
yeah.
Insane. me.
He's like, you have to train for this. We were doing 6.5 minute intervals. I'm like, Tom Cruise, the shot's not even 6 minutes.
Right.
Like, this isn't even 6 minutes of screen time, Tom Cruise.
Oh no.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But it was still a good, like, it's still a good Mission Impossible. So what are we rating this thing?
Mm.
It's a tough one.
Is it?
it's easily. I'd give it a 7.5. It's
7.5.
good. It's like it is exactly the kind of movie I want to go see on a big screen. You know,
Yes.
Okay.
and I'm not remiss for spending my money. I'm not remiss for spending my time. It's exactly what I expected. I knew it was a 2-part movie, so I walked in with no false expectation of a story being concluded. And the only thing I would really compare it to is just its predecessor films, which kind of do a better job here and there along the way. But this movie is fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a 7.5 too. I felt like
Oh.
this movie, the Mission Impossible series to me is a lot like the Fast and the Furious series. There's a certain movie where it changes the scope. Fast 5 changed the rest of the franchise. I think Part 4 kind of makes it this small team going on missions. Before that,
Yeah.
it was
Well,
this
when
guy's
was
after my.
Simon Pegg? Simon Pegg came in part 3 or 4.
He was introduced in Part 3, but I think that kind of team working together off the grid, that's where it
Yeah.
started to happen in Part 4 and on. Because Part
Yeah.
1, his whole team was taken down. Part 2 was like, was that John Woo? Was John Woo direct? So
No, John Woo was part 2.
Yeah, Part 2. So that whole film had a whole different feel to
Yes,
it,
I mean,
which was dope. But it feel like a foreign film. Mission Impossible, a foreign film.
yeah,
Yeah. So where this one sits,
it's the
it's like
Tokyo Drift of the franchise.
it is. But he's hanging off that mountain though. He's
Yo, it's
hanging off
got
that
it's
mountain,
got the dopest opening, and they
dude.
shoot the thing into this. I mean, the opening of that thing, and he's actually rock climbing too.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the
Yeah.
reason why they even shot the
Well,
thing.
this
Right.
is the beginning. Wait, Mission Impossible 2 is the beginning of
His
Tom Cruise doing all
craziness.
this crazy stuff in these films.
There was one scene in Mission Impossible 2 where he's running in the sewer and a guy's in front of him. He just runs and backflip kicks him and keeps running.
Yes, he does the guile.
Yeah,
He does
because
the Street Fighter move.
this movie was heavy. I don't know if what's that
I mean, it's very John Woo. You even have the white doves blowing out of the shot.
it was very gung fu too. A lot of more martial arts. A little bit. Yeah, it felt different. It was very good. I enjoyed it though. So this I would put. Yeah, it's not better than After 4 for sure,
Right.
but still has great moments. Rich,
So
what are you
part
gonna say?
4 Was part 4 the one where? Correct me if I'm wrong. It was 4. I think it was 4. He's in the building trying to get the vial of whatever the toxic
In
thing
Dubai?
is.
In Dubai?
No, it's
Uh-huh.
not Dubai. It's in another place. But they're in the car scene with the characters just having a conversation, and they skip all the action which is happening in the building.
Is that Jeremy
And-
Renner? He came in
No,
part.
it's not Jeremy Renner. It's the guy from that HBO show. Anyways, whatever. But then they cut to Tom Cruise going, I didn't make it to the floor. Look up, look up, look up. He's just jumping out the window. I was like, that moment
Great
was
moments.
so good because they skipped all of the extra action scene and they had this real pedestrian conversation, and then they just cut to the aftermath of everything you'd missed in the building, and it was so effective.
I love it. Well, you see that
Look
on
up, look
Benji
up, look up.
at the end of this movie when Ethan's walking and he walks to Benji and he gives him the key, and the look on Benji's face was the feeling of that scene of like, what did you just go through? Like,
Right.
how did you accomplish this?
Right.
Oh man. So Rich,
Hmm?
what are you gonna say to bring this score down?
You
up.
already know.
No, Rich
Or
is not
up.
going. He ain't going up.
Listen.
This movie was good.
It was an all right
good.
time. It was a Mission Impossible. It didn't move any needles, you know.
Right.
Sometimes they do. Some don't.
Sometimes, but
Mission
this one did
Impossible.
not.
Okay.
Yo, this guy
Okay.
drove a bike off a mountain at least 9 to 13 times. That got to
Like
count for something.
I haven't seen people drive bikes off mountains before. Okay, listen,
I haven't. What you been watching?
listen.
I mean, Evil Knievel might have been the last guy.
This for me, top 6.
Did you say
It's
6?
slightly above average for me.
This movie. Wait,
What? What's the problem?
You can't give it a 6,
Um,
you
Rich.
said
I just gave it
You
a
said
6.
Mission Impossible
Yeah,
is slightly above
it's
average.
slightly above average right now. Yeah, as opposed to the other Mission Impossibles. Yes, Tom Cruise has some big shoes to fill, and he made them. You can't be mad at me.
That's the quote. That's the quote of the whole podcast.
What you talking about?
Wow.
That's great, Rich. Tom Cruise has some big shoes to fill, and he made them. Not my fault.
Yeah,
Well, I guess, and here's the thing: he says he wants to go like as long as Harrison Ford because he's inspired. But the older you get, the slower you get. So like, you're not going to be able to do what you're doing
no,
in Mission
let's
Impossible
not say that.
12.
Tom Cruise is doing. I don't know. He might be injecting some stem cells or something. He's out there.
That
He
is
look,
true.
he's
So-
not looking like a Harrison Ford right now. Let's be 100%.
No,
All right.
I want some of them stem cells
Yeah.
because he makes 61 look like 35.
Harrison Ford legit looks like, nah, I just need to be sitting down watching TV right now. Like, why am I on adventures?
I think he said that in the movie.
You did say that in the movie, yeah. So 7.5, 7.5, 6. We gave the thing collectively a 7.
Okay. Well, there it is.
I think that's
I
a
think
little.
It's a little low.
It's a
But-
little low,
Is it though?
dude. Look at because I guess also, Rich is
But
right.
I'll
though.
say this: an 8 might be a little high.
What Rich is right. Rich is way more of the casual audience score than us. For us, we know and have an understanding of what it took to pull off some of the stuff they did, especially since they went as little
don't
CGI
have
as
any
possible.
idea what
Listen,
But
I
Rich is
know
like,
because
I-
they told me before I watched this. Okay.
No, but he's right about that, and it's what I was saying when at the top of the conversation. That's one of those moments where you don't want to be ahead of it.
But you almost
But we
have
were
to be because good CGI is so good that if I don't tell you it's CGI, you're just gonna assume it's Tom Cruise in a green screen. Like if I
No,
don't tell you it,
That's true. And listen, the Mission Impossible movies always start their advertising campaign with showing us, or at least hinting at, what his real stunt was.
yeah,
Whether-
he broke his leg in this stunt. You have to see it. Like But
Right.
it's like him doing that off the cliff. If you didn't tell me that was CGI, I would just naturally assume it was CGI because everything's CGI. You'd have to tell me that was practical. Unfortunately.
Where I was just so ahead of the moment. But it's the first time when I was so ahead of the moment that the actual. I wish.
They didn't have another stunt that was just as crazy. So
Right, I
even-
know, but I almost wish we didn't see the footage from the shot so much. Like the
Right.
thing that was exciting was when they cut to the close up and he was doing the dialogue, because I'm seeing the wind interact with his face, and I had already seen all the other shots.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd seen the shot, so it wasn't on the big screen, but it was on the screen we most consume content with. So I was ahead of one of the coolest moments until they showed me something different. So I almost wish they had just teased the moment.
Don't show him going off. Show him
don't
revving
show,
up.
but don't show him in free fall, right? Like
Right.
don't show, like tease up to the thing, and then I'm still like the anticipation of, man, I got to see how this plays out. And
They
then the
should
whole
have done
thing-
that. Why'd they throw that away? To show him go up the ramp and like
and let you know that it's real, right? And
Right.
like show the drop, but not him in the drop.
yeah.
Like let the thing go over the edge and show the gorge, and like, wait, he's gonna do what in this film?
And they should
I
have
gotta
faked
see
time.
this.
They should fake his death, like have him go ghost, so we don't even know if he made it until we watch.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Terrible.
All right.
This is going too far. No, yeah, they should have hid that more. But I will say, they're desperate to get people to go back to the theaters.
Yeah.
They're doing everything in their power. And Tom Cruise is like, after Top Gun, it's almost like he made it his mission to like bring people back. We're gonna go see Oppenheimer. We're gonna see Barbie. Let's get people back to the theater. So this
Well,
was also their way of getting
I
people
feel like
back.
they kind of succeed. Well, at least on my end, when I was looking for theaters and show times, like most of the theaters were packed for the most part.
It
Tom
made
Cruise sells tickets, man. He's the
Yeah.
last of the Hollywood stars.
it made 56 million this weekend, which they're saying is a little low, but
Low.
internationally it did like 260 million, which is very big altogether worldwide. So
Okay.
I don't think it was low. I think this is what movie going looks like post COVID.
Right.
I don't. I think Top Gun Maverick was almost. What's the word I'm looking for? It's almost
fluke?
a unicorn
Mm.
to make a
You
billion in
haven't
the.
seen the movie.
And I never. No, I might, but but it was like to make $1 billion post pandemic is like crazy, and it's only because he held out. We're not going to streamers. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this.
Was the first big movie back too,
First big
One.
movie back. We just had a lot of big movies now.
and he was doing what Tom Cruise do, man. He was in these planes.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick is a good watch, Lawrence. You crazy? All right, let's wrap this thing up.
All right, so basically we're at a seven, a solid seven. That's
Solid
a solid seven. That's where we are. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Where do you rank these in your Mission Impossibles? And do you want to how many more Mission Impossibles do you want to see Tom Cruise do? Hit the links in the description. We got a podcast, we got social media. Hit us up there. Also hit the YouTube channels. We got some dope stuff there. And yeah, man, we'll be back if you choose to accept this mission. Dink, 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 dink. Peace. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking